Nope, you don't need a cleric in Baldur's Gate 3, but full disclosure, it's still one of my favorite classes and incredibly strong, especially if you dip into some rogue levels for the turns that you don't use spell slots. However, we're going to talk about the benefits of not having a cleric or any other dedicated healing class in your party. Healers are support classes, and as you get more comfortable with the game, you'll find you need less in-combat healing. This is especially true if it's not your first playthrough, and you know ahead of time where you may want to position yourself for an upcoming encounter. Let's take a look at the bullet encounter in the Underdark, and we'll take a lot of looks at the Underdark in this video because I feel this was the first portion of the game on my original playthrough that I needed to start thinking things out before taking actions, and I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. Taking advantage of the turn-based mode as soon as you see the screen rumbling is a great way to start spreading your party out so that multiple members don't suffer the devastating leap. At this point, a good offense is your best defense, especially when you're not using a cleric. And you could use a number of other characters to take up that character slot. In this playthrough, I've made Shadowheart a College of Swords bard, and you may have seen some endgame versions of these builds. They basically unleash an incredible number of ranged attacks per turn, clearing the battlefield before you suffer too much harm from the enemy. Also, it's okay to lose your hit points. That's right, having a character drop to 0 hit points will knock them down, and you can pick them back up by using an action, throwing a healing potion at them, having a number of other classes aside from cleric cast low-level spells like Healing Ward, which has an 18-meter range. If the character dies, there's plenty of scrolls of Revivify throughout the game as well, so if you're new to the game, don't be afraid of getting your characters knocked down. Some of the most enjoyable encounters are when a single or pair of characters triumph at the finale. Now, I feel it's worth mentioning that even if you don't use a dedicated healer, a level 1 dip in a class like Cleric allows you to have Guidance, a very strong spell outside of combat during dialogues, and you could also select something like Life Domain, since the subclass for Cleric is available at level 1, and provides +2 per healing spell that you cast, making it a great pair for characters that already have access to clerical spells like Paladin or Bard, for example. So just how much benefit is having an additional offensive-minded character? Well, let's jump back to the bullet fight, where my level 5 party will take it out using hardly any cooldowns at all, in just over a minute and a half. When this encounter ends, I don't even need to use a short rest, and I've got access to 3 since Shadowheart is a bard as mentioned, which gives access to the Song of Rest, which is basically an additional short rest and complements classes like Warlocks or Druids. Warlocks can recover spell slots on short rest, and Druids recover their wild shape charges for anyone who's interested. For transparency, this party from top to bottom features an Assassin Gloomstalker, a College of Swords bard, a Sorelock, and a Throwbarb, all of which I'll include video links in the description, but keep in mind I'll be updating Astarian's build to a max level version once I hit level 12 in this playthrough, at which point I'll update the video link here as well for everyone. Every character in this party is capable of consistently dealing solid damage per turn, and I think that's something you'll want to be mindful of if skipping out on a healer, because if one or more of your characters are crowd controlled, you need ways to dispatch, interrupt enemy concentration, and so forth in order to be successful. Otherwise, if you're found taking a long rest after every encounter, you may as well keep the healer in the party. And that's really the only negative of a playthrough like this. You might feel certain stronger choices for characters to be required, or at the very least make things much easier for you. Shadowheart only has 1 hand crossbow at this point because my RNG has been horrible with vendors, and Astarian is my weakest character, but will scale and surpass some others in a couple more levels, but both of these characters are more than capable of handling the content at this point. On the other side of the spectrum, you don't see me using a dual-wield halfling fighter without the athlete feat at this point because it's just not an optimal choice. For what it's worth, I think that Throwbarbs are one of the strongest builds in the game. This particular party has fully cleared the Underdark and is headed to the Grimforge, and I've done so with so few long rests that Gale's Companion Quest is just beginning, so if you're looking for a different playthrough or a unique one, try one with no dedicated healer. The most surprising part so far is how fast and efficient this run has been. So, we've proven that this works very well in single target fights in the Underdark, but how does it fare against more enemies? Well, let's just pick off the deadliest 2 targets in another difficult fight that many players struggle with, and we'll just do it before they act without using a single cooldown.
I've got it.
The lesson to be learned here is why spend your time healing when you can just deal massive damage per turn or round? Removing enemies from the fight will also reduce the amount of damage your party takes. 0 healing potions were used in the making of this video. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.